Hello, 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 and happy Thanksgiving in advance to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Ernest broadcasting from Baltimore, Maryland, and I do have my colleagues in the studio. And please, we'll take some time to just introduce ourselves. I think I'll start with my co host, Dr. Henry. Please, could you introduce yourself, even though I've said your name? Somebody may not know who you are. So please just, a simple introduction. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ernest, it's good to be here. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. My name is Henry Kasondemusoma, aka Professor of Kindness. Hashtag Ukukakula. Happy Thanksgiving. It's good to be here at Insaka.
And I believe you are broadcasting from the great state of Texas, sir.
Yes, sir. I am in God's country, right here in the great state of Texas.
That's great. That's where you're celebrating Thanksgiving. Or are you going somewhere this Thanksgiving?
No, sir. I can only be in the place where, like I said, God's country. I'm
All right.
staying right
Great.
here at home.
Great. That's good. Mr. Mutambo.
Hi, everyone. My name is Clement. I'm based here in the DC area, to be more precise, in Maryland, Silver Spring.
Thank you. And Miss Nelly.
Hi, everyone. This is Nelly Matatila Bartholomew coming to you from the home of the Dallas Cowboys, Arlington, Texas. What up? We're taking the Super Bowl this year. Anyway, that's a topic for another day.
For sure. Miss Nelly, you know what is so interesting about your name? Years ago, I couldn't actually pronounce your last name.
Me too.
So over the years that I've, the time that I've been on Insaka, I've learned that, the way you pronounce it. So I think that's a good thing to be on Insaka.
You know what? You mentioned a really interesting thing because took my husband and mother-in-law to Zambia for the first time.
Okay.
And you won't believe the number of people that kept saying, Mr. Bartholomew. It's like every time they heard it, they wanted to cringe. But by the time we left, we were so used to it. It's like, yeah, Bartholomew.
But Nelly, how do you pronounce your name? Just say it once more, please.
Bartholomew.
It's Bartholomew.
It sounds different than I used to pronounce it when I was learning about this in history. You know?
No, every word is different when you grow up. Years ago I used to pronounce the word agenesti. There is no word in the dictionary in English agenesti. It's against, right? Okay, let me move to Mr. Victor.
Yeah.
Hello, happy Thanksgiving, viewers. Victor Mwaba here, talking to you from Chicago, Illinois.
Thank you, sir. And Ms. Winnie.
Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys are having a great weekend with your family. Enjoy.
Thank you. And my very own, we are broadcasting from the same city, Baltimore, Miss Priska. You look so beautiful.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Like Pastor Emma said, all the way from Baltimore, Maryland, the DMV area where the Oza Independence will be. Please vote. Vote for DMV. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you're enjoying your meal.
Thank you. Yeah, we're being, we just want to keep our fingers crossed. We want to host this in 2024. It's going to be a big thing. 60 years of freedom. My co-host puts it this way. I like it. The hashtag Yukukakulwa. We've been in Yukukakulwa for 60 years. So it's gonna be a blast, I think. So that's why we need to have it here in Maryland, a DMV area. So I won't say more. I'm wishing I'm letting go to my button. All right. All right. It's a Thanksgiving to us. So you are you are thankful that we're going to have it here in the DMV area. So that's that. Make sure you press your buttons very well. All right, let's move into the icebreaker. Now, this question is very interesting. I'd like Dr. Soma to come in on this, if you would, please.
Would I honor and accept an invitation from an ex to a Thanksgiving dinner? I think it's one of those intentions versus impact. I'd really try to understand what the intent is. A pure intention of just pure solid friendship, yes. But you know, that would be a tricky one. Pastor Ernest, I think I'd have to really pray about it. You know. So my honest answer is no.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you and I, even though we are co-hosting this, we have two different perspectives. I would gladly receive that X, and maybe it will be an opportunity for me to treat better than they were treated before. That way they know that, you know, when you mean business, you mean business. I know Miss Nelly has something to say about this.
Well, yeah, I think for me, I'm such a curious person. It depends on how it ended.
Okay.
I think if it ended really badly, I'll be like, no, bro, you're trying to kill me. No. But you know, if it ended on a good note, I might honor the invitation.
I don't know. I'm finding it very, very challenging to understand how that something good would end on a bad note. However it ended, Victor, help me here. However it ended, it did not end very well because it ended. If it was something good, it should have continued. But Victor, come in on this.
I probably would not accept the invitation. I think Thanksgiving is usually it's a great holiday tradition, and Thanksgiving is a time to introduce somebody you are dating to the rest of the family. You know, so I think it would be a little bit of an awkward situation. You might be signaling possible reconciliation. So I would probably say, you know what, I will love you from a distance.
Loving from a distance.
Let your yays be yays and your nays be nays, Pastor. What happened to that?
Thanksgiving weekend.
Doctor, I want to say that, you know, what the Apostle Paul said about let your yeah be, you know, yeah, and your nay be no. I think he was not addressing the issue of exes. You know, we want to make sure that you know, he was not addressing the issue of exes. If it's that issue, we would definitely, you know, get into it and say no, yes. But considering this question, this is a relational question that you will have to take some things into consideration. Remember those best times that you enjoyed with the person. You know, you'll be wondering, you know, it wasn't so bad. Not everything was bad. So maybe your reflection will be on that. That's just what I think. But before I go too far, let Miss Winnie come in. Miss Winnie, what do you think about the question we have?
You know, I think on two things. Because I have kids, only if I'm married and I have a nice house, you can come to my house. Because I have kids.
Because you're trying to do the ceremony.
Someone is. They didn't even do this. Someone, I have a nice house. And my husband, me and my husband. Hi. Oh yeah, you can sit right there.
Miss Preska, I took some time to listen to this song. Why? Because I saw it on social media. I think it's going viral, and particularly in Zambia, it's just making headlines. And then I said, okay, let me just, you know, what's going on with this song? I find the song, and it's okay for me to just be different. It has nothing to do with my Christian background and everything. Now, I'm bringing this point just because of what Miss Winnie has said. If I'm bringing an ex to come and see, there are two things that I believe I'm doing. Either I'm telling them this is where you would have been if we had not gone separate ways. So I am trying to push them into trying to reconcile with me. Now, I know that wouldn't be your intention, but to some extent or to a certain degree, I think that's what you are doing because you're playing with somebody's psychology, right? So the person will now be saying, okay, this is surely what, why don't they just apologize? and then maybe, just maybe, things. So I think it will be a difficult place for me to bring the person and intentionally bring them to me, to my house, for them to come and summon.
I have to buy someone.
Mr. Mtambo, please, your comment on the question that we have.
Yes, I guess for me, I look at the issue of an ex from two sides. I mean, the two things to this point. Somebody can be an ex, but if there's still a friendship, a friendship ongoing. If she's a good friend, that again, we ended on a good note. Somebody I would gladly invite to meet my other significant other or my family, so to say. But if somebody that's we're not really don't really have a good relation, things ended on a very bad note, I don't think I could be comfortable with that. Because sometimes if pasane siyabemba atakabole makalalia to adawaga, the person is just there to kind of finish you up with whatever you may be showing off. You've a nice house, like Miss Winnie says, that person will just come and come and finish you off from where you are, So it depends with the relationship that I have with that person. If it's something that's good, and they're on a good note, I would condone that. If not, I just walk away.
I think Mtambo, I think
Yeah.
Because I'm coming from a place where I believe in relationships, okay, regardless of what transpired, how something ended. And I've learned this through the scriptures, right? How Jesus related with people. Okay, the truth is that if the relationship was over and it's over, you have to be disciplined enough for you to know, I'm trying to build a relationship that is not going forward, but it's just me having that relationship like I have with another person. But I won't say much on that. I want Miss Prescott to come in and tell us what she thinks about this question.
I would accept an invitation and I would invite as well. And I'm saying this coming from blended families. We have kids. I have stepkids and then Zoe as well. So, and we both get along on both sides. So we would invite Zoe's dad to come in for Thanksgiving, as well as Issa and Olivia's mom to come in for Thanksgiving. So from our side, it's almost normal. So we would, because we want our families together and our kids together.
Well, thank you so much. I think we do have your views, and we know I personally know what you feel and how you feel about your ex. All right, Dr. Nsoma, please, could you give us what is trending, and if you would just lead us into that?
Yes, so we've heard, sadly, the passing of Miss Rosalind Carter, the wife of former President Jimmy Carter. And the beautiful story about this couple is that they taught Sunday school together up until even the last 3-4 months, 6 months, I believe. It's been one of those enduring love stories. And so it's been something beautiful to follow. So in their small town in Georgia, this beautiful couple have stuck it out together. Lots of journalists have come up and said Mr. Carter talked to them about the secrets to marriage. So I think I'd challenge all of us out here to maybe to do a little bit of digging around this relationship of the Carters.
Yeah, I personally think that it's paramount for us to just dig into that. It would help a lot of us just to learn how they lived. I just find it very interesting to know that they knew themselves as far back as what you've just mentioned, Dr. Mson. I think that's something that we have to emulate and learn from. The second thing that we'd like to talk about as far as the trending topics is Kamwana Secondary School boys burn down school after completing grade 12. This is unspeakable.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mr. Victor? What do you think about this?
That's atrocious. It reminds me of the time in '97 when my colleagues did the same thing after the final exams. Totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Vandalism is a crime, and those boys should be held accountable. I mean, we're talking about 17, 18-year-olds. They should know better.
Yeah, and once they do an investigation, I think their results should be held until they're brought to book. They're not thinking about the other kids who are coming after them. They're not thinking futuristic, and this is unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Miss Winnie, what do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like, we talk about Zambia. What about the first grade, the 8th grade, the 9th grade? What were you thinking? They're going in society like that. It's not good because they end up being in jail. And your mother, probably they're just influenced by their friends. Your mother's been working so hard to take you to school, and then you do this to your parents, not just to your parents. I mean, I remember when I was in boarding school, I felt the same thing. Like I would just like bend the whole school because I'm leaving, but I didn't. Because when you do that, then you're just being stupid. So that's being stupid. Kids, you're stupid. You're gonna end up being in jail, and this is bad. Not just bad for you, for the whole generation. Because you might be the smartest boy, but you won't be able to go to college or stuff like that. You're losing so much opportunity. Don't do that. That's being a fool.
Thank you. That's very true, Mr. Mtambo. Your thought on this?
Unfortunately, I can also relate to the situation that I went through when I just finished my grade 12 at Kamlonga Boys. Of course, we had a number of students who kind of behaved that way and broke a lot of windows and also, that kind of stuff at the school. So we ended up actually, all of us that were, every time you go to get your results after the fact, we had to pay money. We ended up,
More money.
Yes, paying money for something I did not do myself, and that really hurt me a lot. And so it's quite unfortunate, and also it's so sad that sometimes sometimes we feel as if when you finish grade 12 you've arrived. It's the beginning of problems for me. It's the beginning of life reality. If Mama was giving you, it's the beginning of being on your own, like seeing things in a different way. So for me, I think I would actually advocate for measures to be done where at this students should pay for the damages they've done, because just impacting very innocent people.
Yeah, and not only that, I think that it sets a precedence. The other kids who are in the 11th grade, they are also thinking about doing that, and so it's terrible. It's terrible. Ms. Pritzker, where did you go to school? Your high school?
I Windermere High School in Kensington, Cape Town.
All right. So, comparing what happened in Zambia, specifically Lusaka, could you make a comment on that in relation to your school that you went to?
So for us, when I was in school, it was more like a toy. Let's protest, let's do this. But we were not destroying anything. It was a peaceful, peaceful protesting. But these boys, it's like, who raised you? What kind of a home are you coming from? A lot of times we blame our parents. Is it friends who's influencing you? It's time for parents to sit down with their children and say, do not be influenced. Do not, peer pressure should not be your issue. They should just go to jail. No results, no nothing. They should just send them to jail. This is the same thing that started whatever ambidok shooter, because they heard that Papa School never shooter, Nabambi ba shooter, Nabambi ba shooter. What school are they going to burn down next?
Yeah, that's very true. Mr. Victor, I know you went to one of the prestigious schools that the Copperbelt has. Your point to this?
Yeah, like I mentioned, back in '97, when we just finished our Form 6 exams, some of our colleagues were so excited, they started vandalizing the school. It was unfortunate. 3 of my colleagues from the same class, they lost their scholarships as a result of that. That was after the ticket had been bought to go to the UK or the US. The visa was already obtained, and these are not people who came from backgrounds that were wealthy. These are people who the parents are really, really relying on them. Unfortunately, I want to believe 2 of the 3 have actually passed on. One of them actually managed to salvage his career. He's doing really, really well. But yeah, peer pressure is something that that should not be tolerated.
That's very true. Peer pressure. This is what we are talking about. Even in church, where we're talking about this seriously. And Miss Nelly, what do you think?
You're muted.
I think you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry, I feel like this has been going on for so long that it's time to have those talks. I think that from the moment that, kids go into grade 8, there should be talks every year to remind them, hey, vandalism is not accepted. Don't try to do it. Grade 12 is not the end. It's just the beginning. I think that's what needs to happen.
It is. Yeah. Very true. They need to be talked to as early as the 8th grade, and that will be that is instilled in them as they are progressing in their academic pursuit. They should know I shouldn't be able to do this. Doctor, you are an academician. Your thought about this?
So I think this is just a symptom. It's not really the problem. This is speaking to more. When these young people burnt the buses, they left notes. ECZ, you have ruined my future. And I think, what are they trying to tell us is also important, because, I've read a lot of posts in Zambia. They're calling these kids wicked and all kinds of things. But children don't just become who they are without the help of parents. So I think we need to interrogate ourselves as a society. What is really going on here? If ECZ is disorganized, if different things are happening that are causing such levels of frustration, I think that also should be investigated. Maybe this could be an alarm for greater issues that are going on, that these young people found expression in non-constructive ways. So I'm not one to jump on the bandwagon of locking these kids up and vilifying them. They might not be villains. They might actually be heroes trying to expose a greater problem, that we have in our society. Because they wrote, ECZ, you have ruined my future. What does that mean?
Let me make a comment to that if you finish, Doctor. So not too long ago, I came across the video where I think a 12th grader was talking about the last paper that they wrote. He expressed how I think most of what he said is pretty much what you're saying. How could ECZ do this to us? It looks like, to me, it appears like ECZ prepared the material that the kids were not taught. Now, I do not have facts on that, but most of the content that was in this video was about expressing their anger towards ECZ as a result of the paper, that one of the papers, I'm not sure if it's all papers that were written, but he expressed anger because they brought the questions that were in the papers were not the things that we were taught. Now I cannot verify that, so it's something that we may just have to look into. But it boils down to the parents as well as the teachers, but for the most part, I think it's the parent, because we have to teach our kids, and then the school picks up on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. But on that,
Pastor Ernest, before we move on, think about our society. What are the outlets for grievance in our society?
Vandalism.
If you remember how our parents raised us, how many of us here, if we're being honest, could clearly complain to parents and be heard?
Zero. And anybody to come in, because I have a comment on what the doctors just said, but I would like somebody else to come in on that.
If you go to your parents and say what the school is doing, or they brought different things that we didn't study about it.
Yeah. Can I just say something on that? Because you see, trust me, we've all been students before, high school students. There's always that kind of shock in an exam. So students are always going to have that excuse about the exam itself, for for various reasons. Yes. So for me, that wouldn't really be the reason why a church should go and start breaking other people's cars, other people's properties because the exam was tough. No, just like I kind of disagree with that. And that also goes on with something else I wanted to kind of say, just going off of this. I guess this kind of trend also, let's also look at it. UNZA, for example. UNZA students go to the road and start breaking innocent people's cars. That's some kind of concept. So for me, it's not just all about the parents, it's about the law. I think it should be time where the law should set its precedence. You break public property, you face the consequences. That's my view.
That makes sense.
Thanks. Miss Nelly, you're muted again, please.
Sorry, I keep talking on mute. I just want to remind everybody we do have the Insaka Gold Carpet event coming in the summer of 2024. I just wanted to move on to something lighter and less depressing than vandalizing schools and burning down buses. But just wanted to remind you all of that. So please start preparing. And on that note, we will take a short commercial break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about the community events and then get into our topic of what does Thanksgiving mean to you. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Do you run a nonprofit organization in the education, health, and human services sectors? Do you need grant funding for your organization? Or do you need help developing programs to help you raise money for your nonprofit organization? At Vibrant Funding, our mission is to connect our nonprofit partners in the education, health, and human services sectors to the financial resources required to achieve their mission. We support nonprofit organizations based in and operating in the United States and Africa. We offer the following services to new and established organizations: program development, donor engagement and retention, grants, research, and writing. Contact us at www.vibrant-funding.com or email us at info@vibrant-funding.com. Call us at 404-751-6802 to learn more about our services and how we can help you to have an impact on the world. Vibrant Funding, connecting donors and nonprofits.
Welcome back, viewers. At this point in time, before we get into our main topics, I think we'd like to talk about community news. Oza. This is very interesting. Just before we say anything about this, I was in Chicago. Who else was in Chicago here? Oh, Miss Priska, we were together, right? Of course, Mr. Victor was there. I think we had a great time. Miss Priska, would you like to talk about this just for a minute?
The voting or the Chicago?
No,
Voting?
yeah, we can talk about voting because now we want it here. So let's talk about voting.
We would love for all of you to vote for the DMV just because it's the 60th. What's that, Ernest?
It's okay. It's the 60th birthday for Mother Zambia. So
Mother Zambia, yes.
Yeah,
also,
I think
if
that
you've never been to the reason why you should come to the DMV area, we have the White House. So much to see. The embassies here. What other great things? There's Clement. There's
Yeah, of course, Clement. Yes.
Tourist attraction.
there's
And
and in addition to what Miss Priska said, I would also want to meet Miss Nelly, Mr. Victor, Dr. Msoma, and Miss Win in person. And a lot of people have been seeing us on Instagram. I think it will be an opportunity for them to just come and see us live.
You
And
met
what
Nelly
we do-
here.
Yeah. And say that again.
You've met Nelly.
no, the people in DC never met Nelly.
No. There's a reason why I want to meet her for the second time.
Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't know, but I've reviewed, but Miss Nelly, we have to meet for the second time. And then also the doctor. Now, this doctor, I know I didn't ask you this. And you said one thing that you said the professor of kindness. I think people have to come and hear part of your story in person here in the DMV area. So that also should be a tourist attraction to consider.
Wow.
No, but he's asking me if he voted first. He voted for us. So he voted for
everyone here has voted for us.
I voted for
I did.
I vote for my state.
I voted for the DMV area, and then somebody from Atlanta, somehow they saw my vote and they called me out on Facebook. They said, Victor, you lived in Atlanta and you're voting for DC? I mean, you're never going to come back to Atlanta. So,
that's okay. You're welcome here. You didn't change your vote.
No, I didn't change the vote, but I'm sure they'll say it's a stolen election. You know how these things are.
It's rigged.
Anyway, so trying to bring us back.
Voted yet.
Trying to bring us all back to.
I haven't voted yet too. I think I'm going to vote for DC because it'd be easy for me just to drive 3 hours. Thank you.
And Manel, you know your passport is about to expire, so you might as well come here and renew it. Yeah, so why not come?
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
On that note, Pastor, I think we go back to the topic at hand. You know, we're here talking about Thanksgiving and what that means to all of us. And, you know, just a little bit of historical perspective. It's funny that, you know, I was riding with my kids this morning and my daughter was like, well, you know, so the Pilgrims came and then they hang out with the locals. And there was a lot of disease. And then they had this event. And then my son, Joshua, was like, well, you know, it wasn't really a natural transition. People were killed in the process. And so, you know, it wasn't really that the Indians just wanted to give up their land. They were forcibly, you know, this happened. So I think while the idea of Thanksgiving is amazing and it's a great thing, I think it has a very complicated history, just like in most things in life. It should have stopped us from celebrating, but we also have to understand that when the Pilgrims came here, they didn't find the docile people who were just wanting to give away their land, right? They found individuals that were vested, that were agricultural, entrepreneurial, but then of course there was this, you know, takeover. And so here we are, we've landed with this holiday, whether it's a myth, whether it's a reality, a truth, history is always complicated. You know, I know in Africa, they say when the story of the hunt is told by the hunter, it will always glorify the hunter. And so, is it one of those holidays? I don't think we should spend so much time on the fact that whether it's a good or bad holiday. I love what it represents. Pastor Ernest, please carry us forward. Let's be positive. At Insaka, we want to bring the best out of the circumstances. And I think Thanksgiving, however you look at it, giving thanks is important. Pastor Ernest, what do you think?
Doc, thank you very much for that, you know, background information. Personally, there's just so much that I knew about, you know, the United States and Thanksgiving. But looking at it from a biblical point of view, one of the statements that is in the Bible is the Apostle Paul addressing the church at Corinth and also the church in Philippi says, give thanks in all things. Okay, give thanks in all things. The Apostle Paul understood the fact that in this life, there are times when the storms of life would hit, but there are also glorious moments. You know, it's just like in a marriage, a relationship. It's not always rosy, but there are times that you are so grateful that God gave you a spouse. And there are times, yesterday, my nephew was getting married and I had the opportunity to be part of the officiating minister, and that, you know, I had to preach the word. One of the things that I mentioned to him was the fact that he has to stay committed, regardless of what happens. There'll be times when it will be tough, when there'll be times that will be to be glorious. But commitment will be one of the reasons. It's not love, y'all. I need to sound that a little bit. It's not love. Love doesn't, you know, sustain marriage. I did make that, you know, mention to him. It's something we have come to this country, for those of us who have migrated, and we've learned the art of Thanksgiving. But it's important for us to understand it's not just in good times that we give thanks. We have to give thanks in every circumstance. And I like how you put it. Sometimes it's in bad situation that God makes something magical.
Yeah.
Not only magical, but miraculous. Where you look, I can give, I think, myself a testament of what I'm talking about. Ms. Priska and all of you, perhaps you were a part of what happened a couple of years ago, where I was, on dialysis for a couple of years, but people came together. Now, there's a story behind that, which is a story for another day, But what I saw in that, even in the moment that I was going through, the years that I had to go to undergo through dialysis, and how deteriorating I kept, going, I still held on to faith. And one of the things that I did not let go was to thank God in that moment. I did know I was not going to die. I've preached this for a long time. I've taught people. I knew I was not going to die. I knew God was going to just, come through for me. How? I didn't know. So even in that moment, I was still thankful to God. It was terrible, but I still held on to God, and I gave gratitude to God. So I think that we should be in a position to thank God, both ways. That's what I think.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
So that's what I think, Doctor. What do others think about Thanksgiving? Miss Nelly, I see you are smiling.
Yeah, no, I'm smiling at your faith, your tenacity and the ability to keep holding on in the face of danger, especially when one's life is at stake. But yeah, for me, Thanksgiving, what does it mean to me? It means stopping to reflect. One of my core values, actually, my top core value is gratitude. I'm very shaped by gratitude. I love to express gratitude as much as possible, not just in my words, but also in my actions to those that I care about. And I also love to have gratitude expressed to me in one form or another.
Oh, yeah.
So Thanksgiving, it's one of the best holidays for me that I've come to appreciate. Did I grow up with it? No, I came to find it here. And to me, it just means a time for us to get together as family, as friends. And the family, us being in diaspora, it's family that we found here. People that we've come to call auntie and uncle and brother and sister, because our own biological family isn't close enough. We've come to learn to appreciate those that have made themselves close to us. And so we cook dishes like, our home dishes, kapenta. Our Thanksgiving is not a typical Thanksgiving where you just have turkey. It's actually a time for us to splurge. We have chikanda, kapenta, ifisashi, all of these other traditional Zambian dishes that we hold dear. You will find at my house when you come for Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
So, Professor Kupula?
Hey, Mukesef, you're welcome.
That's good. But what do you think, Mr. Clement?
The thing is, I mean that's a constant,
That should be illegal.
Because your wife may not know how to prepare everything,
Hallelujah, somebody. Hallelujah.
Step by step. They are just
Doctor, I think you'd agree with me. If a student is attentive in class and you give a quiz, you will know the distinction between those who are paying attention and those who are just, on the phone and all of that.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
What do you think about what does Thanksgiving mean to you?
I think, like Nelly said, gratitude, and I think that's what it is, especially for us here who came here many years ago. We have found out the friends that we have, these friends that we have, they are our sisters. And then for me, I have a community, and I think we have maybe 4, maybe 6 or so. So our kids now, the oldest now, she's 18. Actually, she babysat my kids when I was in Chicago. So these kids have grown up together. They call each other cousins. I was on my way to go to DC to Priska's house. And then my kids was like, we're going to Auntie Priska. They were excited. And then when Auntie called me, who we call Mom, she said, oh, Winnie, are you coming for Thanksgiving? I was like, I'm supposed to. But I just like, you know what? That's what it means, because I have family. So we have families, like, these are the families that we have come to found. So when we do Thanksgiving, we do it differently. We cook our own food. We talk. We shimika. We just like it's an enjoyable thing. So Thanksgiving to me is just to be thankful and just know that, you know what, God has made me be here in this foreign land, and I'm grateful and I have gratitude knowing that I am here.
That's great. Miss Priska, would you like to give us your take on this?
Pastor, before she chimes in, I guess I didn't respond to your question. I didn't finish what I was supposed to say. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay, because we are concerned about your status. Yes. No, not your kupula, but your status.
Your singleness.
That is causing you kupula.
No.
When I'm super honest, I've been able to yara from one I guess to go na wedding to go na lineup.
Amen.
That's a prophecy from the prophet.
Anyway, to echo, Miss Nelly's and Miss Winnie's point, I think for me also it's all about gratitude. And one thing I've come to realize about Thanksgiving, I never used to know about it until I came here. But what we should also bear in mind that we've all been practicing this from where we come from. We just didn't realize it was Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
There are times where, like in our culture, I would just go knock at Nelly's house in Zambia and say, they offer me food. Whether it happens like that. But here, you need to make an appointment coming to somebody's house.
They'll kill a chicken for you.
Yes, exactly. So at least some chickens would die somewhere, That's
Nakabata somewhere.
Exactly. So I guess just that we come in a society where it's more synchronized, like more defined to say this is kind of Thanksgiving, which for me, I mean, it's I think it's one kind of event or ceremony that I've seen Americans coming together, whether it's families who have maybe meet once in a year. Thanksgiving is always like an exception where people have to kind of meet and catch up and share ideas and so on and so forth. So it's all about gratitude and appreciation, for people around you, people who love you and people you love, and also just kind of reconnect. So, but with our Thanksgiving, so I've already made a pre-arrangement. So Thanksgiving when Priska what is Priska?
Chimpapi.
What do you kind of languages?
Okay. So your Thanksgiving,
Yeah, I got you.
Thanksgiving 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Mtamba. Miss Priska, please, your comment on what Thanksgiving really means to you.
Before I go there, I wanted to talk about, you spoke about when you saw the community come together for you and your tenacity, your faith. You don't even know how many people you touched and how many people you've influenced. And in our community, every time Melody sees you, she goes, but every time Melody sees you, she sits and says, but so you have touched so many lives, and a lot of people say that. Wow. Thanksgiving to me, Nelly said it, gratitude. I didn't know what Thanksgiving was. I just didn't pay attention when I was in Africa. But when I moved here, I had a family that adopted me for the first time. I went to their home Thanksgiving. And when I saw them around the table holding hands and they all said what they were thankful for me, that was amazing. Like, I was like, what am I really, really thankful for? It was just Zoe and I. So I was thankful for their family, the American family that adopted me. And moving forward, I'm just thankful for people around me. I'm thankful that I have a place to go home. I'm thankful that I have a meal to eat. I don't even have to think about what am I going to eat, but I have a choice. And I have an option what I want to eat. So in short, gratitude.
Wow. Dr. Amson, would you like to chime in on this? I'm emotional about what Miss Prescott just said. Yeah. How many people have, I hope that some people have turned their lives to Christ. That'll be my cry, to see what God did in my life. And if somebody was able to relate that and not really to undermine what God did. One of the things that I would like to encourage each and everyone and our viewers there is to be thankful even in small, minor things.
Yes. To add on that, sorry.
I keep telling the church that, we are so inclined to, someone got married and they come, they're dancing, thank you. But I don't know if any of us here has taken the time to think about what the devil and his agents would do when you are in a deep sleep. So I have learned it both ways, to give thanks in the physical things that I see. That's really, this was God's intervention, as well as those things that I cannot see when I am in a deep sleep and I wake up. I like what the psalmist says. The psalmist says, I laid my head, but the Lord sustained me. I laid my head. In other words, I slept, I was vulnerable, but the Lord sustained me. So everything is sustained by God. So I have learned to give thanks in small things that I didn't even see what's happened. So, Doctor.
Well, meka ine, mekela lesa, kuala ine wane.
When I listen
you. I have to concur with the gratitude piece, So I have a formula that I always give to my students. Is G plus H plus C is equal to the ideal version of yourself. And it's gratitude, humility, and curiosity. So gratitude feeds humility, and humility sustains curiosity. So when I lose my capacity to be grateful, I am fully exposed to depression. I'm fully exposed to all these negatives, and so for me this year, I think of my dad. My dad always hated it when somebody didn't say thank you. Hated it. Me
too. Yeah, me too.
Priska, yes.
Dad,
oh gosh.
My dad hated it. And so
virtual hugs.
Get your hugs.
No, get your hugs, sir. You are strong. You're a strong man. You're strong.
Grateful. Just being grateful.
We love you.
Yeah, we love you.
It's okay. That's okay. Yeah. So just gratitude. Just being thankful. Like I'm grateful.
Yes, sir.
It's Nelly.
Love
you guys.
Grateful.
Got it.
Yeah. So just grateful. Grateful for you guys. Grateful for my children. Just grateful.
It is a moment that I just like what Doctor is saying here. I think it's important for us to reflect on what has happened to us. If you can just take a reflection or an inventory of your life, you realize that there were people you met when you were in the first grade, and look at where you are and where some of those are. It has taken this unspeakable but authentic spirit we call God that has sustained all of us. And even as the doctor is talking about how grateful he is for each one of us and his kids, I think it's time for us to just say thank you to the people that God has brought in our lives.
Amen.
If you can just look at the people that have come in your life, God has brought, you realize that there are so many things that you could never accomplished. But God has strategically brought these people to bring the pieces together. You know, just circling back to what I mentioned about my nephew getting married, another point I talked about was the importance of people. The importance of people. Never ever neglect people God has brought in your life, because you do not know why God brought them to, into your life. But we are grateful for this Thanksgiving. I believe that we are preparing for this turkey, and I'm not sure what Mr. Clement will prepare this time around, whether he will prepare something for the Insaka. What do you think, sir?
Well, in my case, I'm not really a fan of turkey. So, like I was telling Miss Priska, I would rather impress of that couple mukolo, a nice big grilled chicken.
Let me show you something about Clement.
Yum, yum. Falling off the bone. Juicy.
My bird a couple of years ago. So for us, the turkey, because it's one of those meats that is not very easily seasoned, what we do is we brine our turkey.
Wow.
Right? So we brine it overnight. So we put a large pot of ice cold water. So Muriama ice cubes, water, and then we put our seasonings, all kinds, rosemary, thyme, garlic, salt, and then we dip it in there and we leave it in there the whole night. Or twice I seasonings. So it gets really juicy and really tasty. So it just depends on how you season it.
Wow.
I wanted to say something. Nelly, thank you for that check. Next year, to when? Now, family government house.
You are most welcome.
and you know what, Winnie? I've been to Nelly's house.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Nelly's house. She's a very good cook.
Oh yeah, yeah, we were together, I think. Yeah.
So are you grateful for being a good cook?
Yes, but what I was gonna say is, we take things for granted, and what Doc was saying, we do take things for granted. And before we even go any further, I just want to say I'm grateful to have you guys here as my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah. No, thank you.
I might be the crazy one, but the fact is, I have you guys. I'm grateful.
And you are the crazy one because you have your own language, you know everything.
I'm just doing the nice thing. He said.
I just wanted us to laugh a little bit.
I like the way we are so different on this platform.
We are.
And in Bemba, we say "Munda ni muchavu."
Oh yeah.
We have those who are big. And that's exactly what we are here. We're just different. We're uniquely designed.
We are. And then as time goes on, we are forming this bond, and I'm sure our kids gonna come back and say, our first generation, our parents, they did this. And that thing scares me, but in a good way, because we're doing this for them and for their our great-grand kids of ours. So it's amazing. And this is family. I'm grateful and I'm thankful for you guys.
This is one big fan. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, before we talk about what our Thanksgiving traditions are, I wanted to go back and just acknowledge, Dr. Musoma's point. He started talking about uncle, his dad, and the emotions started rushing in. I want to encourage those of you out there who are going to be having an empty seat this Thanksgiving and during the holidays in general, because a loved one has gone to be with the Lord this year. I just want to encourage you that it hurts. We don't want to discredit and say vile turanda kuzambia wirira na iwe kosafye, or those type of words. The truth is, death hurts because it feels permanent.
Yeah.
But biblically we know that it is not permanent, but it does feel that way, and because it does, it hurts.
Mhm.
And so I just want to encourage those of you who have an empty seat at your table. The way I've coped, with the absence of my dad and everybody else that has gone before, is I try to cling to the memories, the good memories. And this is where gratitude for me comes in as a core value. I focus on the good things that are happening. For the first time, I know it doesn't look like my son is going to be around for Thanksgiving. He's decided to cut himself and is not in the picture, my oldest. But I'm grateful that the God who has eyes to see where I cannot see is protecting him. And I'm also grateful for those that have gone before us, looking back at the memories that they shared, including Uncle, that, you know what? There are so many people who don't even have a memory of having a father at a Christmas table.
Yeah.
But some of us do have that. And that's what I choose to cling to. So please be encouraged. You're not alone, and you are loved.
Thank you, Miss Nelly. That is profound. That is authentic. I think it's important for us to express how we feel. We shouldn't take that for granted, because that's how God, created us. He created us with emotions, and if we hide emotions, then we are not just being true to ourselves. But it's important that we express that to show this is how I feel, and it's important. But the good thing is that we are all coming from a premise of faith, that we know God knows the right time and God knows what is best for us. One of the things that I'm so grateful about this, most of the time when I'm talking about this, some people think like it's some kind of arrogance, but it will never be. I have so much respect to my parents. I'm so grateful. If it weren't for them, I would not be here on this earth. But one thing I'm also thankful for is that my parents passed on when I was younger. I do wonder and think deeply about what kind of a person I would have turned out to be, because I was the only child in a family of 3, and my mom always treated me like this egg. But when my parents passed on, I began to learn to be a man at a tender age. I began to learn to be able to bath my 2 little sisters at the age of 7. Okay. But I have turned that into something that has shaped my life. And here is a man today who does not care. A child. I remember when my son was born, I literally learned how to change diapers, and the mother would not complain about that until he grew up. So those are some of the things that we have to learn from such tragedies, and be thankful that it happened. You may not see why it's happening this time around, but God has so much in store for us. And on that note, I'm not sure who else wants to chime in on that, but I would like us to hear where traditions or practices, just maybe a minute or less. What are some of the traditions that you've held on for some time now? Now that you migrated to the United States and you've become a part of the family here, Miss Nelly, could you go for us?
Yeah, sure. One of the traditions is my mom usually bakes with my daughter. So they would wake up very early, either on Thanksgiving Day or on Christmas Day. They've been doing this since she was very little, and they will make fresh bread. So that's one of the traditions. They will make amabanzi, like they'll come out like that, looking really good and scrumptious. Those are some of the holiday traditions around Thanksgiving that we hold. And really just cooking everything from scratch. We'll make the challah bread and, of course, the turkey. And another thing that we usually love to do is we love to have different people from the community over for Thanksgiving, just so we can break bread together. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for those pictures that look wonderful. I think I should be in Texas next year for Thanksgiving. And your house. Yeah, Mr. Clement, we should be together that time. Mr. Clement, while you smile on that, please, your thoughts on the traditions and practices. Yeah, he's the youngest here, so it's okay.
That's true.
It's okay. It's okay. Next time I'll be, Anyway, wait a minute. I really lost my train of thought.
No, we're talking about the traditions. What have you held on for, for in less than maybe 1 minute or so?
Well, where, like in the US, right?
Yeah, right here.
Of course, Thanksgiving is one of it. I remember when I first moved here. Just a fun fact is that now I live this wonderful Italian family. They're triplet boys who are now more like my brothers now. So the first time their grandmother cooked, I ate so much, and that was actually my culture shock being in the US. Because I'm the filia, every day, and stuff. When they made their food, I passed out actually because there was just too much food. So that was basically a welcome kind of, for me, to test, the Thanksgiving, So since then, I've come to realize the fact that it always brings about different families coming together to a point where even when I go to my African, my fellow African families, they still kind of gather to have, Thanksgiving, in our own way, whether wali or this kind of stuff. So as I'm telling you guys right now, I have almost like 9 invitations from different families.
Wow.
Yes.
That is great. That is great. That is great. Pass some of this at the end of the program. Let's see, to whom you would share those, because you can't go to every one of them.
No, and I can even leak I can even leak the information. One of it is, Mr. and Mrs. Chira's home.
All right. I'll get back to you, Miss Winnie. What are your traditions? Please, in less than a minute or so, we are running out of time, if you would.
So my tradition is getting up in the morning. Of course, we do praise and worship in my house. And my Malumbo love Thanksgiving. My Paulo likes to help cooking. So like Nelly said, the day before, we put the turkey ready for tomorrow, put the wine. I even put some wine in there. They don't know, but I put some wine to make it moist, because you really need to have a good turkey. And then just like I love hosting, just like seeing my friend coming in at coming in at what time, like 5 p.m. and sit down on the table and eating. I think I put the video there and just pray together before we eat. It's just the best. And then the kids will be like running around after that.
We want to thank you, Heavenly Father, for bringing us together once more as a family. We want to thank you for the gift of friendship, for the gift of life, and for everything that you keep doing for us. Dear Lord, we want to thank you for keeping us safe in this pandemic. We ask that may those healthy mercies continue to linger around each and every one of us in here and protect us.
Yeah,
Oh,
even during pandemic, that was my family, friends. We've been together and we eat together. Pandemic, we ate. So Thanksgiving was like amazing just to sit down together and just pray. So I love Thanksgiving. So this year we just had it for by Auntie Dale, and then next year we'll be going to Texas to Nettie's house, government house.
Hey, Mama Shade, for Tweranda, Tikaren Mayanda, you are busy cooking and Doc, please, what are some of your traditions and practices?
So I shared a photo from last year's Thanksgiving, and for me, there's something called the turkey trot, which is a 5 kilometer run. That's my friend Jaime. Jaime to me represents family. He's a gentleman whose son plays soccer with Joshua, my son, and the turkey trot is a tradition for his family. And I plan to make this a tradition where we walk 5 kilometers with other people to raise money for the YMCA. And so I just love being out there with all these thousands and thousands of people after you've eaten all this food, but then you're giving back on that same day, because it's a great way of expression of gratitude, just to give back. So I think this is a new tradition, Clement. It's not something I've done in the past. It's something I hope to carry forward and hope my kids jump on it. So we are doing this Thursday as well.
Now, the way you are training Joshua, I think they'll carry it on. So that's great. Miss Prisco, your comment on that.
For me, I love the fact that we get to sleep in. We don't really care for turkey. We just cook our favorite foods, things that we like to eat. Then we gather around the table, we hold hands, and we say what we're grateful for. We eat, everybody go to their own room, and then I look forward to the Black Friday sale.
So commercial, Prisca. So commercial. Such a capitalist.
All right, Miss Nelly, please let's wrap it up, if you would.
Absolutely.
Please let's wrap it up with this. Well, how does inclusive Thanksgiving look like to all of us? Please, let's be mindful of time. If we could just use 30 seconds.
I think, Pastor, if you don't mind, I would like to suggest that you and Dr. Msoma go ahead and wrap up on this one. Give us your thoughts. You can finish up from the biblical perspective. He can speak from, the educator's perspective.
Doc, go ahead, please.
An inclusive Thanksgiving, I think, for me, is one where we allow ourselves to truly dig in a moment of reflection. And I think when I think of inclusive, I think of the beautiful, the painful, the sweet, the bitter. Not to be selective in our gratitude, but to, how scripture says, in all things to give thanks, as you said, from Thessalonians. I think if we are able to do that, I think then we're whole people, rather than pretend that the year was perfect. Just to really look back, yes, I lost my dad, and that sucks. That really sucks. But I'm grateful for who he was. Yes, I'm a divorcee, and I never expected to be a 47-year-old divorcee, but it's okay. Yes, I get to impact young people all over the world. I'm grateful for that. I haven't won everything, but I won, and it's okay. And so I'm thankful. I haven't won everything, but I won. So, I think that's, to me, the greater piece to Thanksgiving. It's not the food. It's really just stopping to say, you know what? I lost a lot, but I won a lot as well, and it's okay.
Incredible. Doc, today you've just taken us to another level, and it's just so, impactful to hear you speak from that, point. And I'm just grateful that we're praying that my prayer that the Lord will see you through in every circumstance, that you go through. It's not something that we can take for granted, but it's something that we have to hold in high esteem and believe God for. And having said that, I think from a biblical point of view, when Miss Nelly asked me to share that, being inclusive is very important, because if we read the book of Acts in chapter 17, it tells us how that God created man from one blood. And so I have learned never to segregate. I have learned to know that this color, that color, we are all human beings, and it's important that we understand how distinct God created us. The difference should always be embraced. You know, it's only in a place of difference that you would understand the character of God. He said that let us make man in our own image, but he didn't say how he was going to create man. The how is only symbolic in how we look and how our character is shaped. So I have learned to be inclusive regardless of someone's appearance. And so Thanksgiving, to me, everybody has to come together and share their story. Everybody has to come together and speak of that testimony of what the Lord has done. So this Thanksgiving 2023, let's learn to be grateful. Let's learn to show gratitude to people, to God, and never, ever underestimate the power of people. And so, to our viewers, happy Thanksgiving, and we hope you have a great Thanksgiving this year. It's bye from us.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.